Have you ever had the experience where you've been watching a scene from your past in your mind, and it was almost like you were watching a movie, and you could see yourself as the main character, but yet you felt oddly detached from it? Or maybe you experienced something that's going on in the present moment. It could be something good or something bad, but you feel like you're not really connected to it. You're not really experiencing the emotions that you would expect to feel going through this event. Well, in this video, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the basics of dissociation, which is something that I have dealt with a lot and learned a lot about. And it's something that I'm learning that a lot of empaths experience and don't even realize it, and how that impacts your healing journey and can really slow things down. I remember there was this one day where I was recounting in my mind an event that had happened during one of my previous marriages. And while I was thinking about this event, it felt like I was watching a movie in my head. I saw myself as the main character in that event, but I felt really disconnected. I remember thinking, that doesn't really even feel like it happened for real. Like, I know things like that happen to people, but it doesn't feel like that actually happened to me. And while I was in that marriage, I often told myself, oh, well, that only happens like in books or movies or to other people. Things like that don't happen to me. Because I felt like those events that took place, it really wasn't me. Like, even though logically in my mind, I could see those scenes of those things taking place and those things happening, but I still didn't feel like it was actually happening to me. It's this very odd sensation. And there are also times where, my kids will come to me and say, hey mom, do you remember when this happened, with one of my ex-spouses? And I'm like, no. I have absolutely no memory, no recollection of that ever happening. And they're like, what? Like, that was a major event. Like, that was really bad and that really affected me. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't have any recollection of that at all. So something that I've learned that was happening to me a lot is dissociation. So initially, dissociation is it's a mechanism to help you feel safe when you're going through traumatic events. And what happens is, a lot of times your spiritual body and your physical body will disconnect so that you don't have to feel the full extent of feelings and emotions that go along with that traumatic event. Now, at first, like I said, it's okay because it's protecting you from feeling that full force, because sometimes things are just so bad that we would self-implode if we felt the full gamut of emotions. So, sometimes people might describe it as going numb or not being able to really feel anything. And a lot of times what's happening is you are dissociating. Your spirit and your body are disconnecting. But this becomes a problem after a while because it starts to become a habit. Anytime your brain senses danger, whether it's real danger or not, you will automatically start to dissociate. And so this becomes a problem because then as you start working through things, sometimes as you start going through the talk therapy or other methods of therapy, while you are in therapy, even if you're in a safe space, you might start to dissociate. Now, why is this a problem? So I've learned personally for myself and kind of tested this out on other clients, and it feels like it is really true, is that it slows down your healing journey. It slows down your progress, because when you dissociate, let's say you are working on your mental, on your mental side, your thought processes. And as you're working on those mental beliefs and thought processes, let's say you get triggered and your emotional body separates from you, or your spiritual body separates from you, or maybe your physical body even separates from your mental body. The healing that you're doing with your mental body is not fully permeating into your other bodies that have separated. And so that just slows down the process. Now, don't get concerned, because I've also received the information that you're never 100% disconnected from any of your bodies. They're always there. They don't disappear. They don't go away. It's just that the connection is not as, strong and good. And so then, like, think about the experiment where you've got a can to your ear and there's a string going between one can to the other can, and so you're trying to listen to the person talking in the can on the other side, and a lot of times you can't even hear what's going on, right? You don't get the message fully, or you can't even hear it at all. Well, the same thing is happening between your bodies if they're separated. So what I am inviting you to do, because this is a really deep deep concept, but we're finding that it helps the healing journey if you start to at least become aware of this early on in the journey. Now, learning what to do to bring your bodies back together and to reintegrate them is, especially if you're at the beginning of your journey, if you were to try to, heal everything all at once, then it would be overwhelming and you'd be like, I can't do this, and you'd shut down. So it's okay. Right now, all I'm asking for you to do is to start becoming aware of those times where you feel like you're not fully present, where you get triggered and all of a sudden you're kind of like watching yourself from a distance, or you're keeping that 10 feet, a 10-foot pole away from you and not fully experiencing something. So when I said earlier about this can happen even in good things that are happening to you, I started to notice that when I went away to retreats with people who were like-minded and they're all on a healing journey, and it was a very, very safe space. The facilitators created a very safe space. Being around those other people, I would start dissociating, because from my past, I had learned that it wasn't safe to be vulnerable and speak my truth and tell my story about what had happened to me because of the abuse that I had experienced in my previous marriages. And so it was even, affecting me with making new friends and feeling really connected to the experiences I was having at these retreats. I would leave the retreat heading home and feel like I hadn't really connected with anybody on a deep level. And for me, I feel like it really fills my cup and lights me up when I have deep connections with people. And so I was realizing that I wasn't connecting with people really on a deep level when I go to retreats. And it took me the longest time to figure out why I was doing that. So once I discovered that I was dissociating and I started trying different things and testing out different methods, and I started being able to reconnect my bodies. And once Jason kind of was aware of, being able to tell or sense when I was dissociating, and he would be able to kind of like stop me, like with a pattern interrupt, so that we could reconnect, then things really started to change for me really, really fast, because I was able to heal things faster, become aware of things faster, feel safe faster, and it just helped me so much. So again, I encourage you to just start becoming aware. Look for those cues, and remember, it's not good or bad. There's no judgment here. This isn't meant to make you kind of wallow in the past or in the bad things, or get into a, oh, woe was me, or a victim state. This is just becoming, aware of when you might be disconnecting and when you might be dissociating, and journal about it too, and start noting those times where you think you might be dissociating. And then, like I said, we'll dive into it deeper later. Awesome. See you guys in the next video.